This is the Leo Climaco Podcast.
Why do you think most people choose to run away from that pain and not face it?
Because it's easier to run away than face it. It's like going to the gym, right? We don't like going to the gym, but the effects is great though, right?
Yeah.
But doing them squats and doing them push-ups, it hurt. The muscles getting torn away. Because you know what? It's easy to sometimes sit there and say, I can't do this no more. It's easy to sit in the garage with a bottle of pills. It's easy to sit there in the
Hold
garage.
on. I got to stop you right there. It ain't easy sitting in the garage with a bottle of pills, bro.
You can let me finish. when life is on your back to a point where you feel like there's no return, it feels like it's easier at that moment.
Right, to just give up.
To just sit there with a bottle of pills. Because somebody that's in a situation where they're saying, I'm ready to take my life, and that was me. They said 1.7 million people in the world a year try to take their life. So I made my first 7 figures and lost it all, got embarrassed, and I'm just sitting there because I felt like that was my only solution. I felt like this is easy for me to do it, right? But what I realized is that at that moment, God was developing David Power talk at that moment. He was saying, no, you're going to get out of this. I'm going to show you this. And that's why I refer back to Exodus chapter 4 and 3 when God said, I don't call on the qualified, but I will qualify the call. So at that moment, he was just making sure that I knew that he's going to qualify me.
What pulled you back from suicide?
My daughter, my firstborn. She was on my keychain. So I'm sitting there, and my keychain was just like there. And just did it, man. I just went to throw up, took a cold shower. And I just started taking small steps to build back my life. And
Being a dad, I felt that so deep right now.
Right. It's literally. I think we all have that it factor inside of us.
Yeah.
If we could just find it. Like there's something. It's almost like when somebody cuts you off and you get pissed off.
Get triggered real
You
quick.
get triggered. You ready to jump out the car. You ready to So I had to find that trigger inside of me, and that's what happened. I found that trigger and I just kept taking small steps. And I'm glad I did take the right steps moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I would say, to answer your question, I just think that some people feel like sometimes the easy way out is just, just don't do the thing that seems hard at the moment, but you got to get out the way now so that way your life could be easier later.
How do you deal with all the energy that you're putting out there?
It's bittersweet.
Because you're a very powerful, emotional, in-depth speaker.
Right.
That's a lot of energy
A lot
wasted.
of it. So it is a double-edged sword because what happens when I get on stage, I can't control it. I can't just and it was so crazy when I first started speaking. I didn't start out this way. I was just kind of like a normal speaker, right? I had my little
figuring yourself out.
Right, just kind of figure it out. But I felt like it's almost like a Captain, or what is it? Captain Marvel, right? When she found her powers.
Yep.
When she learned how to control it, she just became one of the best superheroes, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like now I'm able to control it and understand how to use it, how to use my tone, my storytelling, how to pause, how to read the room, how to put out certain pain points, but also put out transformational points at the same time. That's when I really became a different type of speaker. So, but how do I handle the power? It's something that even now I'm still not struggling with, but I have to find a way now to bounce back. Because what happens is I leave stage, it's like the Hulk, right?
Yeah.
You like, woo. And you sit there, you like, man.
Drained.
You drain. And everybody coming up to you, hey man, that was awesome, this and that. And your head is spinning. You're spinning because you just went, it's almost like I black out.
Right.
I can't explain it. It's like I literally sometimes I don't even watch my footage until like weeks later.
It's like you're channeling, right? It's just flowing through
It's
you.
just flowing through, and that's what I would tell any speaker. But I still, and I'm key on preparation and framework
Right.
because you still
Which is why it flows.
right?
Yeah.
Because you have to bring people through a transformational movement, right? You got to touch their soul, their spirit, their pain points, but you also got to give them a lesson. So there's one thing I tell all speakers: if people don't have anything to take away from what you said, then you didn't do your job. If they can't walk away and say, "Yeah, that was good, but I don't know what I got from it," right? So that's why it's so important to develop. So I teach speakers how to develop framework and also to be authentic in their message. So I'm big on your intro. I'm big on the outro. I'm big on telling your story, but the whole story can't be your story. A lot of speakers would just, it's like they're just dumping everything on you.
Right.
Don't dump everything on the audience, right? No, they're there because they need something from you, right? So now I just look in the mirror and I just say, no matter what, I said that was amazing. Don't question your gift ever again. Because a lot of speakers, we question ourselves when we finish, right? Because we're competitive, right? You want to do good, right? So you want like, I wanted to say this. Why did I say that? This and that. You wonder what people are thinking.
You want to wow people.
Right, exactly. That's what you want to do, you know? So, because everybody just staring at you. They locked on every word that you say, you know? So normally when I finish, I walk to the side. I never ask people, how do I do? The people come up to me and say, oh man, that was great. Then I'll say, thank you. Then I might ask for a testimony then, right? But I never ask, because this is how I understand if my message really needs to be tweaked a lot. If the majority of the room don't come up to me and say that they got something from my message.
That makes sense.
But if the majority of people say, oh my God, like for instance, I just spoke in London and back in October, and it was just me and my videographer. We was probably the only two black people there. Everybody else didn't look nothing like us, right? And the reason why I want to paint the picture is because we in London. And so my videographer, he asked me, he said, are you going to keep the same energy even though it's a different audience? I said, no, I'm going to give him even more. So literally, when I tell you I had that whole room in tears, like if you go to my social media page, my testimonies, everybody, like, they just broke down.
That's so powerful.
They just broke down because I was so vulnerable. I was so just tapped into everything that I was saying with no fear at all. And I think that's one thing speakers got to understand is that people can sense fear and they can sense confidence.
Yes.
And they can sense when you're authentic and they can feel it. So it's not about what you say, but can they feel what you're saying, right?
How did what you say make them feel?
Exactly. Remember this, people only gonna remember 20% of what you say, but 100% of how you make them feel. And long as you can get on that stage and somebody say, oh, you gave me goosebumps. Oh, I'm crying. Like I just did a virtual call the other day, and the lady in the comments was just like, man, you got me in tears, you know? And I don't go in intentionally do that.
Right.
Like, I just go in on making sure that I keep honing in on my message. Like,
that probably fuels you.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. It fuels me. But another thing too, this is why preparation is so key. So I had spoke in Dallas about maybe a month ago, right? And I was a keynote speaker, but the room was kind of like more like it was round tables. People was eat like it was more of like it felt like a award ceremony almost, right? People really dressed up. Like there was no like motivation. A panel came on, they just talking, they just doing this, right? So then now I got to come out and be the keynote speaker. So I literally had to wake the whole room up. Like they was like the host was like, I don't know about this room. Like even my man, he was like, but I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And then eventually it was like you could see the light bulbs goes off. It was like ding, 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 ding. Then when I finished, the person that booked me, she was like, that was incredible. Like that, it was like everybody just started coming up to me. It was just like, and even my videographer was like, man, I was worried for a minute. He was like, I said, but one thing you got to understand, never show that you are worried about what they're thinking or what they're not receiving. You just keep making sure you give them exactly what you know you came to give them. And I just kept hitting them threes. Eventually, it was like, boom, all net, all net, all net, all net. That's it, right? Because I wasn't worried about if they didn't like it or not because I knew they still needed it. I knew that even a stale face was a face of wow. And that only comes from putting in reps on different stages, different audience. And there's been some audience sometimes that maybe didn't receive it the way I wanted to receive it, because you got to know your audience, right?
Right.
That's why I put on there. I speak to athletes, I speak to entrepreneurs, and I speak to the youth. So I can't go with the same keynote to entrepreneurs and I'm gonna go talk to a football team. Now, football team is gonna be a little bit more, a lot of energy and a lot of, just that man talk to them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But you still give them a little bit of a story here and there, but you don't go too deep into it because they really just need that energy to go out to play football.